Chosen one, hear me now. I did not bring you here by accident. I am speaking to you because the prophetic scroll written for your life is being unsealed in perfect Kairos timing. Anointed one, you stand at the very edge of a destined moment, a sealed prophecy cracking open, and what is about to unfold could move tonight, this coming hour, or within the days that follow. I tell you this with sacred urgency, the appointed hour on heaven's clock has arrived for you, chosen one. This Kairos was penned before your birth. The pattern of your breakthrough was fixed in the courts of heaven. As Habakkuk 2:3 says, the vision waits for its appointed time, and that appointed time is now for you, anointed one. My child, my beloved, do not treat this as mere sentiment. Receive this as a living declaration. I call heaven to attention on your behalf. Expect revelation to land in your body alignment, to shift in your spirit and circumstances, to begin rearranging toward the destiny written for you. This is an invocation. Prepare your heart to meet what heaven is releasing. Chosen one, do not step away. Stay expectant. Stand ready. The scroll is opening. Chosen one, hear me, this word is not casual. That face on your mind, that name you have whispered in the dark, is not a passing thought. It is a sealed line in the scroll of your life beginning to unroll. I want you to feel that like a weight, not a burden, but a calling. Heaven has moved. The hidden season has shifted. Your prophetic scroll is being activated in this precise Kairos hour. You have been tempted to treat this as ordinary because the world teaches surrender as wisdom. But listen, when God places a person on your heart, He often places a mission there as well. This is not merely romantic longing or friendship gone astray. It is a covenant alleyway into destiny. The enemy knows this. That is why the pressure has been intense. The confusion, the late night questions, the ache that feels like a door closing. These are not punishments. They are preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. Every cut has been purposeful to shape what must withstand the light. I say this from a place of witness. I have stood where you stand, torn between relief and obedience, tempted by the ease of letting go. I remember a season when I thought the silence meant abandonment, when the delay felt cruel and the pain felt endless. Yet in that quiet, unseen roots were weaving. It looked like nothing on the surface, but beneath God was rearranging destiny. My beloved, I live to testify that the root work mattered. What grew out of that season bore fruit I could not have imagined when I was still kneeling in the dark. You are not being asked to endure blindly. This is not stoic suffering. This is strategic standing. Heaven is intervening on your behalf, even if the evidence seems thin. Angels have been stationed at the thresholds of your conversations. Grace has been whispered into the other person's spirit in places you cannot see. The alignment you crave is being authored in the invisible. When I say the scroll is unsealing, I mean the codes written in your seasons, the hidden dates, the locked doors, the sealed promises are being read aloud in the courts of heaven. Expect sudden remembrance, unexpected mercy, a word that lands like a key. Do not mistake the intensifying attacks for failure. The enemy increases his onslaught when he senses breakthrough. He will amplify old triggers. He will replay familiar pain. He will conjure plausible reasons to quit and make them sound like wisdom. Whenever you feel the urge to walk away, test that voice. Is it the whisper of surrender or the shepherd's call to stand? The enemy's sound is always hurried. God's voice invites patience and courageous persistence. Hear me, the voice that pushes you toward quitting is not from the throne room. It is from the one who trembles when your union fulfills its purpose. Now, practical truth in a prophetic way: do not abandon your place of intercession. Your prayers are not a ritual, they are warfare. When you bless that person instead of rehearsing their faults, you are activating heaven's advantage. When you refuse to speak accusations and choose to speak life, you shift the atmosphere. I remember a time I had to change my language about someone I loved, stop recounting the wrongs, and start declaring their future. Within weeks, small doors opened. It was not magic, it was alignment. Your words shape the soil where God will plant. You must also guard your heart from the posture of last resort. I have met many who kept someone as a fallback and wondered why God remained distant. There is a difference between faithful endurance and clinging from fear. This Kairos will not honor indecision. It honors surrendered faith. Surrender your timelines. Surrender your need to control outcomes. When you release the urge to fix everything, you position yourself to receive what heaven is orchestrating. Letting go of illusion is not giving up on destiny. It is making space for divine intervention to move without your fingerprints all over it. There will be tests designed to expose idols you have placed in the relationship, the need to be seen, the craving for approval, the fear of loneliness. Those are the pruning shears that reveal what must be cut for the vine to bear fruit. Feel the pruning as alignment, not rejection. When you resist the impulse to blame God for the pain, you step into the posture of the one who will receive the covenant. I've sat in that pruning and known the sting, but every cut was a preparation for a wholeness that would not have been possible otherwise. Now hear this clearly. Anointed One, heaven is not merely waiting for you to be fixed. Heaven is waiting for you to be faithful. The scroll being unsealed responds to faith more than to perfection. You will falter. You will speak selfishly. You will have nights of doubt. That is human. But your faithfulness in returning to prayer, in choosing blessing over bitterness, in refusing to give the enemy the trophy of your surrender, that is the altar where God will manifest the promise. I speak to you with urgency, but also with tenderness. You are not alone in this season. I have felt the tremor of heaven under my feet before a shift, and I have seen what seems like impossibility bow to persistent prayer. Tonight, this week, in the coming hours, the divine unlocking you have longed for could begin. Do not miss it, because you obeyed the lie that retreat equals safety. Stay in the garden of agreement between you and heaven. Water it with prayer. Protect it with patience. Nurture it with honest confession and humble surrender. Hold this with both hands. The struggle you are in is not evidence of absence, but evidence of imminent arrival. The scroll is cracking open. The codes are being read. The appointed hour is moving. Prepare yourself to receive what only endurance can unlock. I will pause here, my child, and when you are ready, I will take you deeper into the strategies heaven is releasing for this exact moment. How to pray, what to declare, and how to discern the voice of the one who would deceive you into letting go. Chosen one, come closer in your spirit. I will speak plainly and tenderly. The unsealing you feel is not passive. It requires your holy participation. First, receive this as I give it. Your posture matters. Quiet surrender opens the hand of heaven more than frantic striving. When you kneel, not to prove anything but to agree with heaven, you become a co-laborer in the unlocking. I speak from hard-earned experience, my child. I have learned that the most powerful moments of divine shift came after I stopped trying to manufacture outcomes and began to steward sacred posture. There are 3 prophetic practices I want you to adopt now, each one a key to the scroll. Practice 1, the naming and sealing ritual. Each morning, speak the person's name aloud, not as an anxious repetition, but as a prophetic pronouncement. Name them, bless them, and then place your hand over your own heart and say, "Sealed in heaven for their good." If you are comfortable, take a small anointing oil or a symbolic touch, a fingertip on the wrist, and declare, "This covenant is marked." Heaven recognizes it. This physical act helps your spirit receive what heaven is already doing. It aligns your body with the decree being written in the invisible. I did this in a season when everything felt stalled. I simply named blessed and sealed. 2 weeks later, a conversation that had been impossible opened up as if a latch had been released. Practice 2 prophetic listening walks. Take short walks with no music, no podcast, just you and heaven. As you walk, listen for one word, impressions, small phrases or images that come to mind. Write them down. These are not fanciful thoughts. They are heavenly nudges reading the hidden scroll in present tense. I remember walking a city block and hearing a single phrase in my spirit, tender repair. I wrote it down, and months later, the exact phrase described the first honest conversation that reset a relationship. Heaven uses the ordinary to confirm the extraordinary. Practice 3, the altar of small yeses. This season will ask you to say yes in tiny ways that feel inconvenient. A text returned when your gut wanted silence. A meal cooked instead of taken out. A prayer offered instead of a critique voiced. These small obediences are the stitches that hold destiny together. I have kept dinner plans with people I could have avoided, and later those evenings became the soil where restoration grew. Do not underestimate the mustard seed power of a single small yes. Now hear me on the weight of the present pressure. If you feel pain, understand immediately that it is preparation, not punishment. If you sense delay, know it is protection, not denial. If doors remain closed, see it as pruning, not rejection. If days drag and longing grows, receive it as alignment, not abandonment. I will say this as your guide and witness. Every ache you carry is shaping you to carry what will be given. When my own hands shook under the strain of waiting, I had to retrain my inner language. Instead of telling myself I was abandoned, I began to say, this pressure is preparing me to steward greater healing. The immediate shift was simple but seismic. You must also know how to steward interpretation. Dreams, sudden images and repeated phrases are part of this era of unsealing. Keep a small lamp and journal by your bed. When you wake midnight with a phrase or a scene, write it down before doubt has time to erode it. I cannot tell you how many times a fragment scribbled at 2 a.m. later proved to be the exact key to understanding what God was doing. If the impression sparks hope, fan it with prayer. If it stirs fear, counter it with declaration. And remember, one impression does not carry the entire verdict. Patterns confirm prophecy. Community matters. You were never meant to carry a sealed scroll alone. Bring wise, discerning souls into your inner room, not the gossiping, not the fearful, but those who carry spiritual maturity and prophetic balance. Share the single impression, the one-sentence testimony, the small yes you have given. I have leaned on a few mentors in my life who did not give me answers, but who held a steady, prayerful presence. Their prayers became corridors for the heavenly architect to move. Do not isolate your calling into loneliness. Invite steady hands to pray over your scroll. Discipline your tongue. The words you speak about this person are prophetic instruments. When you repeat the past, you revive its ghosts. When you declare the promise, you call the promise. I learned to stop rehearsing pain in front of friends. Instead, I began to describe the future as if it were already beginning. The shift was not theatrical, it was spiritual law. Words are the first drafts heaven edits into reality. Practical mercy is prophetic. If you can give help without expectation, do so. When you choose to bless materially or with time, you are writing a new sentence in the relationship that heaven can build upon. I remember a season when a small, unpaid favor I gave cost me nothing but time, and later became the pivot point for reconciliation. Mercy rearranges hearts. Finally, tender courage, be honest with yourself. Are you clinging out of fear? Are you staying because the thought of emptiness terrifies you? Confession clears the lane for genuine endurance. Perseverance anchored in pride or insecurity will not carry the scroll, but perseverance birthed from surrendered love, honesty and humility will. I had to confess that sometimes my prayers were more about controlling outcomes than about releasing to God. That confession changed how I prayed. It purified my motive and intensified heaven's response. Beloved Anointed One, hold tightly to this truth. Heaven is moving, and it invites you to move with it. Your daily rituals, the naming, the listening, the small yeses, are not religious exercises. They are spiritual tools that help you stand aligned with the Kairos. When the pressure rises again, immediately call it what it is: preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. Let this be your language. Let it steady you. I am with you in spirit, and I have walked through seasons of locked doors and sudden openings. I have felt the electric hush before a key turned. Receive my hand in yours. I will not let you mistake discouragement for destiny. Keep doing the small things that summon heaven. Keep your heart open, your words life-giving, and your feet ready to step when heaven says, now. Chosen one, come here in your spirit and hear this next layer. You are walking in a season that asks for both tenderness and discipline. There is a sacred balance between leaning in and guarding well. When you speak to that person, speak from the place of the scroll, not from the raw place of the wound. If you must confront, do it with the voice of one who carries destiny, not the voice of one who has been defeated. Speak truth with grace. Speak boundary with blessing. Speak longing with surrender. I learned this after a conversation that could have severed everything. I chose calm over accusation, clarity over blame, and nearly watched a locked heart loosen in response. When confrontation is necessary, lead with your humility. Say, I want to understand. Help me see. That phrase opens doors where commands slam them shut. People soften when they feel heard, and heaven often uses that softened space to move. If the other person grows defensive, remember to withdraw into prayer rather than arguing harder. Pull back into your prayer posture and declare protection over the dialogue. If pain arises in your chest, know immediately that it is preparation, not punishment. It is protection, not rejection. It is pruning, not abandonment. It is alignment, not error. Let that knowing steady you. There will be seasons when you must impose boundaries. Boundaries are prophetic lines drawn in love. They are not walls of bitterness, but fences of care. When you set them, explain them gently. I am protecting my heart so I can hold the gift you may yet become. That language keeps destiny in view. I once held a boundary by saying no to late-night calls that escalated into fights. I was told I was cold. The truth was softer. I was preserving the soil for future fruit. The boundary became the platform for later restoration because it honored both my personhood and the promise. Do not confuse delayed reconciliation with final rejection. Delay is often the place where refinement happens. When you feel the delay press on, you speak back to it. Delay, I recognize you as protection and preparation. I will not harvest early. Say that aloud. Naming what the delay is doing, protection, pruning, alignment is prophetic and disarms the enemy's lies. I have literally spoken to seasons in my life like this, declaring, this delay is redesigning my capacity, and watched circumstances rearrange afterward. There is power in prophetic language that recognizes seasons as sacred activity. Discernment is practical and soulful. When signs come, test them. If a sudden shift is accompanied by peace that is usually heaven, If it comes with a sense of hurry and humiliation that is often the enemy, use the litmus test of peace. Ask yourself, does this invite me into greater love, or does it invite me into shame? Does this make me more like the person God called me to become, or less? I have kept a simple rule: anytime a decision makes me less compassionate, it is not from heaven. Discernment means you move when the Spirit says move, and you wait when He says wait. There are times to fast. Fasting clears the fog and sharpens your spiritual hearing. It is not about punishment, but about creating bandwidth for heaven to speak. If you choose to fast, do it with gentle devotion, shorter times at first, focused prayers for the person, not condemnation. When I fasted in a season of stalled reconciliation, I stopped narrating the problem and started listening. In that fast, a new idea came, a small, loving gesture I had not thought of before, and it opened a door. Fasting tuned my spirit to the Kairos. Watch for 5 signs that heaven is unsealing the scroll, and let them anchor your hope first. A sudden clarity in your own heart, an understanding that moves you from fear to faith. Second, small reconciliations that feel disproportionate to the effort, a laugh that returns, a shared memory resurfacing warmly. Third, dream or impression confirmations that repeat the same theme. Fourth, external alignment, circumstances that shift almost impossibly, like schedules opening or mutual friends becoming bridges. Fifth, a deepening of prayer, nothing dramatic, just a steady, holy momentum. I have seen these signs stitch together and produce a full reversal. When setbacks occur, do not let them rewrite the scroll in your mind. A setback is not the author. It is a punctuation mark. Correct your narrative quickly. Replace, "This is over with. This is being formed." Tell your own heart the prophetic truth. My story is not written by yesterday's pain. I have learned to rehearse that sentence until it felt true in my bones. It steadied me through nights that tried to convince me to quit. Remember, pressure is preparation. Say it again with me: preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. Hold fast to the power of ritualized declarations. At dawn in the quiet, declare heaven, unseal the scroll written over this relationship. Release alignment, accelerate timing, and open doors. Make it simple and repeatable. I have a handful of phrases that I return to in different seasons because they function like keys: concise, prophetic, authoritative. Choose yours and use them. Repetition in righteousness does not become empty, it becomes activated. Invite prophetic friends into your circle, those who will not hype you nor dismiss you. Ask them to pray precisely, not broadly. Specific prayers unlock specific doors. I had a woman in my life who would pray for the exact tree where a conversation needed to happen. Months later, that tree became the place of reconciliation. Precision in prayer invites precision in heaven's response. Finally, remember mercy as movement. Mercy will always be the kingdom's currency in relationship matters. Extend it where you can. Forgiveness does not mean the erasure of caution. It means you choose not to feed the old wound while you protect future fruit. I have forgiven more than once and found that each act of mercy loosened a new seam of grace into the other person's life. Chosen one. You are not wandering aimlessly. The scroll is unsealing line by line, and you are a co-author by how you steward your heart and hands. Walk in clarity, set tender boundaries, fast, gently when needed. Recognize the signs, refuse to rehearse setbacks. Declare with ritual, invite precise prayers, and extend mercy. The pressure you feel will not consume you. It is shaping you to carry the visible harvest. I hold you in this truth, my beloved, and I stand with you as the Kairos continues to pulse around this unfolding destiny. chosen one. The hour grows deeper, and the unsealing moves into a new register, the season of visible fruit and careful stewardship. When breakthrough edges nearer, two things will try to steal your course: sudden applause and secret pride. Both are tests. When favor blooms, publicly handle it like a fragile seed, gentle, grateful, and tethered to your original posture before heaven. Remember, every compliment can become a leash if you allow it to define you. Stay defined by the scroll, not by the crowd. You will feel exhilaration in those first moments of change. If exhilaration turns to fear, know immediately fear is often the enemy's amplification. Do not let it reframe your gratitude into comparison. Instead, mark the milestone with a quiet act of devotion, a small altar of thanks, and return quickly to the rhythms that steadied you in the waiting prayer, discretion, and honest confession. When celebration rises, double your humility. Give credit to heaven aloud. Say, "This came from the courts above," and watch arrogance lose its grip. There is also the matter of resources and responsibility. As doors open, unseen demands may come. People will seek access. Some will arrive with sincere hearts. Others will test your capacity. Steward what is given with integrity. Make decisions from the scroll you are being shown. Who does this blessing serve? Does this opportunity align with the assignment written for me? Do not expand your tent to every request. Expand it to the purposes marked on your scroll. I speak from seasons where a sudden invitation felt like proof that I had arrived, and I nearly mistook arrival for identity. I had to relearn to say no with love. I remember refusing a public platform that would have brought many eyes, but would have taken me away from a tiny, tender place God was reforming in me. At the time, it felt risky. Later, I understood it as stewardship, protecting the soil where my destiny would continue to grow. My beloved learned to steward access as a spiritual practice. When the scroll's codes begin to translate into doors, guard the core of the relationship involved. The person on your heart will also experience pressure as accompaniment to blessing. Tell them what you are seeing in gentle terms. Share a sentence of hope and a boundary of care. Let them know you will walk with them, but not carry them. Partnership in destiny requires mutual accountability. If they are not ready to receive what is emerging, do not force the timing. Protect your own surrender while you pray for their alignment. You must also prepare for a season of refining exposure. The unsealing may attract attention that tests your motives. Critics will surface. Old voices will narrate failure as proof. In those moments, anchor to the truth that pressure is preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. If slander or misunderstanding appears, say aloud, "This pressure is preparation. It prepares me to steward greater things." Repeat it until your bones remember the logic of heaven. Pressure does not indicate rejection. It signals that you are being readied to carry more. Teachable humility will be your greatest ally. Invite counsel early. Not the counsel of flattery, but of those who will ask hard questions and still hold you in prayer. A council of 3 or 5 steady souls will function like a spiritual rudder. I found mentors who challenged my strategy but loved me through the process. They kept me from impulsive moves that would have derailed long-term fruit. Seek the wise who have walked through their own unsealing. Record what happens. As the scroll translates into stories, document them. Preserve the dates, the conversations, the small miracles. Later, these records become the lineage of testimony you pass to the next generation. I keep a legacy folder, emails, photos, a single pressed flower from a reconciliation, because testimony sustains future faith. Your descendants will need to read how heaven moved in a season of apparent chaos. Be intentional with celebration. Celebrate in ways that enlarge others, not just yourself. A meal with key people, a night of thanksgiving with those who prayed, a small gift to someone who held your heart. These are prophetic gestures that distribute favor. Blessings become multiplying when they are shared. I recall a celebration where instead of a solo toast, we named every hand that had aided the journey. The atmosphere shifted from personal triumph to communal harvest. That is heaven's economy. Preserve privacy where needed. Some doors require discretion to flourish. Not every unlocked code is for public display. Learn to keep certain conversations between you, heaven, and one or two faithful witnesses. My habit is to protect 3 sacred boxes: a prayer box, a counsel box, and a gratitude box. The prayer box holds my secret petitions. The counsel box holds advice from trusted mentors. The gratitude box holds evidence of God's faithfulness. When I open them later, I see the pattern of unsealing. Finally, prepare for the ripple. When your covenant moves, it will not only affect you and that person, it will touch families, careers, communities. Think beyond the immediate. How will your response shape those who watch? Choose words that heal and actions that produce legacy. Plan for sustainability. How will this blessing be stewarded so it does not collapse under pressure? My own breakthrough led to new initiatives, and I had to build teams quickly to manage them with the same heart that birthed them. Chosen one. Hold these practices, steward applause with humility, protect access with integrity, anchor in community, document the movement, celebrate, communally preserve privacy, and plan for ripple. As favor grows, so does your responsibility to remain tender and disciplined. The unsealing is both a gift and a charge. When you feel the surge of visible change, remember again, any pain, any pressure, any delay you encountered along the way was preparation, protection, pruning alignment. Declare it. Own it. Let it be the language that steadies you as you step into wider ground. I stand with you, my beloved, watching heaven mobilize on your behalf, and I urge you to walk this new road with humility and holy courage. Chosen one, keep your spirit steady. There is an army aligning with this unsealing, and you are part of that mobilization. Angels have been posted at thresholds, and heaven has been reassigning favor to match the code written on your scroll. When I say this, do not hear it as distant theology. Hear it as near work. In nights when I could not sleep, I felt heat, like a presence shifting things in the air, small, steady movements that later proved to be divine handshakes. I tell you that so you will recognize the subtle maneuvers around you. Do not be surprised if you begin to sense unusual peace just before a breakthrough. The enemy will try to mimic that peace with counterfeit urgencies. Test every quiet. If the calm invites prayer and deepening trust, it is from the throne. If it pushes you towards secrecy or pride, it is counterfeit. I have learned to ask one question in the hush. Does this quiet draw me closer to God or closer to my own comfort? The right answer keeps you safe. Now engage in tactical declarations. I will give you specific phrases that function like keys when spoken in faith. Speak them aloud, not as repetition, but as covenant language. Heaven, unseal what was written before my breath. Open the doors that have been marked for this season. Say also, this connection is under heaven's care. Every delay is a protective measure. Every pain is preparation. Every pressure is pruning. Every silence is alignment. When you say that, you reframe what assaults you. You teach your soul the logic of heaven, and the enemy loses his script. Take authority over timelines. Declare Kairos move now. Heaven's clock is active over this matter. Naming time invites acceleration. I have stood at midnight and cried that phrase into the dark with nothing but a lamp and a trembling voice. Within days, calendars aligned, obligations shifted, and the appointed meeting appeared. Do not discount the power of calling timing. Heaven hears when you name the hour in faith. Practice a prophetic act of sealing. Write the person's name on a small card. On one side, write the wounds you have carried because of the season. On the other side, write the promise you believe heaven has whispered. Close the card, fold it, and lay your hands on it, declaring sealed and honored in the courts above. I did this years ago with a faded gym card and a pen. It felt symbolic and small, but it became a marker. When reconciliation came, I found that card and remembered the fidelity behind my plea. Small acts make heaven tangible. Cultivate an audio altar. Choose 2 short songs that lift your spirit toward hope, one for the morning, one for the evening. Let them become sonic prayers. I still play a simple hymn during my early prayers because the melody aligns my heart faster than words. These sounds become signposts for angelic attention. Angels recognize worship. They move where praise opens the gates. Be precise in blocking the enemy's narratives. When slander or accusation whispers to you, name the lie and replace it with truth. For example, the lie, "This is hopeless." The truth, "This is preparation," and the promise is close. Repeat the truth until your bones accept it. I used to be carried away by narratives until I learned to rewrite them aloud. It changed my posture and shifted conversations. Later, people responded differently because my internal script no longer leaked despair. Prepare for sudden confirmations. Heaven often sends small confirmations, odd phrases, repeating numbers, a meaningful dream, a stranger's timely word. Do not minimize these. When one came to me as a repeated street sign phrase over a week, I wrote it down and later recognized it as the exact sentence spoken in a reconciliation. Keep a pocket notebook and carry it like a talisman. These fragments will form the map of unsealing. Move with wise boldness. There are moments to step forward and moments to kneel. When you sense clear invitation, a softened heart across from you, circumstances opening a prophetic confirmation step. Initiate a gentle conversation, a handwritten note, a soft phone call. Make it brief and sanctified. Do not try to settle every old hurt in one sitting. I have seen one short, humble message become the hinge of months-long restoration. Bold does not mean loud. Bold means obedient. Anchor your hope in community without dumping your pain like a broadcast. Bring 1 or 2 seasoned, loving people into your inner room. Tell them the single sentence that describes the season and ask them to agree in prayer. I have had 2 friends who would receive 1-sentence updates from me and pray specifically. Their focused intercession was more powerful than 1,000 opinions. Choose wisely who hears your scroll. Refuse to let impatience dictate strategy. If Ecclesiastes 3:1 taught me anything, it was that seasons are sacred. Move with them, not against them. The hurried move fractures destiny. The patient move secures it. I have undone much by rushing. I learned to let seasons shape me. Patience is not passive. It is the active refusal to abort what heaven is cultivating. Finally, prepare to steward the harvest. When doors open, plan for endurance. Do not consume the blessing in one feast of relief. Store it, learn from it, and build structures that protect the fruit. Healthy rhythms, wise counsel, financial prudence. I had a season where sudden favor invited excess, and I had to rebuild. That rebuilding taught me to plant with intentionality the second time. My dear one, my beloved anointed one, I say this with the tenderness of one who has walked and the authority of one who has watched heaven move. When pressure tries to define you, say immediately, this pressure is preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. Repeat it until the lie dissolves. When pain knocks at your door, greet it with the same truth. When delay stretches, name it as protection, so you will not excavate the seed too early. I stand with you in the hush and in the thunder. Heaven is unsealing, angels are mobilizing, the scroll is being read. Keep speaking, keep declaring, keep stewarding. Keep your heart tender and your hands ready to receive what the courts above release. Chosen one, lean in with me. The Kairos is sharpening into moments you can steward. There are hours now when heaven's hand will move faster than your fear. Learn to recognize them. Some windows are obvious, a sudden invitation, a clear word from a friend, a door that opens without explanation. Some are subtle, an unexpected calm in your spirit, a recurring image that keeps coming, a dream that returns with more detail each night. When those windows appear, move with holy swiftness, but not impulsive haste. Move with obedience. Here are precise, sacred practices to help you steward those hours. First, create the 90-minute sacred window. Choose a morning or evening period each week where you withdraw from noise and enter a focused, expectant posture. In that time, read the scroll in your spirit, name the person, name the promise, and then declare one simple request: clarity, reconciliation, or release. Keep it short. Heaven often answers concisely when we ask clearly. When I began doing this, I found that answers arrived within days, not always in the way I thought, but always on time. Second, use a threefold declaration. Speak aloud in sequence what you trust God for who you will be, regardless of the outcome, and one thank you as if it is already done. For example, I trust heaven to restore clarity. I will remain tender and disciplined. Thank you for the open door. This three-step structure trains your spirit to move from petition to identity to gratitude, and that trajectory aligns you with the timing of heaven. I practiced this until it became reflex. It steadied me in storms and tuned the atmosphere. Third, employ sacred pauses. When conflict rises, pause before replying. Breathe, name the pressure as preparation, protection, pruning, alignment, then respond from the scroll, not from the wound. I have learned the power of this pause the hard way. I once answered in rage and nearly destroyed a corridor that later became the path of healing. After that, I began to pause, declare the pressure's purpose, and then speak. The results changed my life. Watch for the Kairos signal trifecta: inward peace, an outer opportunity, and a confirming word from a trusted voice. When these three align, do not second guess. Step. I remember a night when all three arrived within hours: a new calm, an email that opened a path, and a friend's text with a single confirming sentence. I moved, and a conversation that had been stalled for years began to soften within days. The timing was not my doing, it was heaven's orchestration. Do not rely only on signs. Cultivate prophetic courage. Courage looks like a small, humble step made in faith. Send a short message, offer a blessing, or extend a simple invitation. Do not expect to fix everything in one conversation. My most pivotal steps were tiny: a brief note that said, "I'm praying for your clarity," or a call that lasted 5 minutes, enough to reopen a channel. These small acts are often the hinges heaven uses. If you sense a sudden acceleration, protect it with prayer and discretion. Fast for 24 hours in the season of accelerated movement, not out of duty, but out of devotion. Use the fast to clear the noise and keep your hearing sharp. I have seen a 24-hour fast precede a major pivot. The next day, schedules aligned and a long-awaited meeting happened. Fasting is a gentle instrument that signals to heaven your readiness to partner. Guard against counterfeit confirmations. Not every open door is a heaven door. Test every confirmation by asking, does this promote humility, unity, and long-term fruit? If a yes does not, definitely land weight. I once rushed into a seemingly golden opportunity that produced fame but fractured relational soil. I had to rebuild much that could have been preserved if I had waited for steady confirmation. Let long-term fruit be your measure, not immediate applause. When breakthrough emerges, practice immediate stewardship. Thank heaven publicly in a way that honors those who prayed quietly with you. Give a portion of what comes, time, resources, or testimony, back to the community that held you. Gratitude compounds favor. I have a small ritual. The first gift I receive after a breakthrough gets shared with someone who prayed with me in the small hours. That practice keeps my hands open and my heart right. Prepare financially and emotionally for the ripple. Blessings come with responsibility. Make quick plans for sustainability, a basic budget, trusted advisors, and a slowing mechanism so you don't outrun the formation of wisdom. In my own life, sudden openings required new rhythms and trusted counsel. I built a small team of 2 friends to help hold decisions, pray with me, and speak truth when celebration tempted excess. Hold the person on your heart with gentle firmness. Speak life over them, but do not carry their choices. Offer help without owning their will. That balance is prophetic. You partner with heaven without replacing God's work in them. There were seasons when I tried to control another's path for the sake of the promise. In those times, I learned the painful lesson that control breaks covenant. Release control and increase prayer. When noise from the enemy intensifies accusations, old patterns, sudden shame, remind your soul of the fourfold truth. This is preparation, this is protection, this is pruning, this is alignment. Say it until it becomes reflex. I carry that phrase like an amulet. It rebukes panic and restores perspective. When the enemy tries to narrate defeat, you will have the right language to answer. Finally, mark your moments. When a small breakthrough appears, write the date, the place, and the names involved. Preserve the evidence of heaven's movement. These records will become your scroll of testimony, the proof that unsealing occurred under God's timing. I have a shoebox with notes, texts, and tiny mementos from each season of opening. When I open it, I remember the faithfulness of heaven and the value of staying the course. My beloved, all that pressure you feel now is not against you. It is preparing you to steward what comes. Do these things make sacred windows, declare in threes, pause and name pressure. Watch the trifecta step with small courage. Fast in seasons of acceleration. Guard against counterfeit doors. Steward immediately. Prepare for ripple love without control, and mark each moment. Your scroll is opening and heaven moves when you move in faith. I hold your hand in this hour, chosen one. Breathe the truth. The appointed time on heaven's clock is active over you. Receive it. Chosen one, come close in spirit. There is one last layer of wisdom I must press into you now, tender and unyielding. When the scroll is cracking open, the enemy will not simply stand by. He will attempt to counterfeit the joy, replicate the favor, and send decoys that look like blessing but carry a curse. Your task in this hour is to distinguish the genuine gates from the painted doors. I speak as one who has been misled by shine and had to be corrected by sorrow. Learn from my mistakes. Do not fast forward through discernment because the clock feels urgent. First, cultivate spiritual humility as your primary filter. Humility is the posture that keeps you teachable and the gift that allows heaven's correction to land without breaking you. When something looks promising, ask 2 humility questions before celebrating aloud. Will this make me more like the person I'm called to be? Will this bless others as much as it blesses me? If the answer to either is no, pause. I once rushed into applause that elevated me but fractured the tender relationships that had sustained me. Humility would have saved me months of restoration. Humility does not delay favor. It preserves fruit. Second, set prophetic guardrails around every major decision. A guardrail is a simple agreement you make ahead of time, a trusted advisor to call 24 hours of prayer before signing or a fast before launching. These guardrails transform impulse into obedience. In my life, a single rule: consult one steady mentor before any public step stopped reckless exposure 3 times. Each time my mentor's questions slowed me and revealed unseen risk. A guardrail is not mistrust, it is a covenant of wisdom. Third, remember that reconciliation can be gradual. The scroll often unseals line by line, and hearts sometimes require season by season healing. Do not expect a single conversation to resolve decades of wound. Instead, design a sequence. Small, steady gestures, a message of blessing, a respectful boundary, a shared meal with no heavy agenda can become the chapters of a longer restoration. I have watched 3 micro moments over months become the hinge of a full reunion. The micro approach honors timing and protects both of you from rushing into false resolution. When accusations fly or gossip spreads, respond with sacred silence first. Silence is often the most potent prophetic act. It confuses the accuser and clarifies your own heart. I have been tempted to answer every rumor until a mentor told me, the louder the accusation, the quieter your response should be. That counsel saved a friendship and preserved my testimony. Use silence as a shield. It is not cowardice but strategy. Anchor your soul daily in an identity statement. Repeat it aloud: I am chosen, I am called, and I will steward this season with humility. Turn that sentence into a breath prayer. When the storm amplifies doubt, this identity line will steady you. I used to let moods define me until I taught my heart to rehearse identity instead of circumstance. Identity is a prophetic garment you wear. Put it on each morning. Engage in gentle prophetic confrontations when necessary, but lead always with invitation. If something must be corrected, say, "Help me see how to do this better," rather than "You did this wrong." The first opens ears, the second raises shields. My most fruitful corrections were tender, brief, and preceded by an offering of grace. When the other person's defenses lowered, truth could land without rupture. Prepare your inner circle to operate like a war room of prayer, not a rumor mill. Ask 3 faithful people to join you in prayer and to give short, sober counsel when needed. Their role is not to solve, but to intercede and to speak truth in love. I had a trio like this who carried my heart in private. Their steady, focused prayers changed outcomes I thought were impossible. Choose those who have both wisdom and the capacity to hold faith without haste. Be careful with public platforms during fragile seasons. Visibility magnifies both blessing and wound. If you are tempted to speak publicly about the situation, test it twice. Will this build the other up, or will it feed my need for justification? Too often I watched people publicize pain and then sentence reconciliation to the court of public opinion. Keep your most tender work sacred until it is healed enough to handle light. Set sacred fiscal boundaries. When doors open, money will appear as a test of purity. Give tithe and place the first fruits of new favor into trusted hands or into service for others. Charity rooted in gratitude preserves blessing. Hoarding or spectacle fractures it. I learned to redirect a portion of sudden provision to those who had prayed me through the night. That practice kept my prosperity tethered to humility. Train your tongue to celebrate the unseen. Speak of the promise as if it is near, even when it is distant. Language shapes reality. When you declare this covenant is being restored, you are not pretending. You are cooperating with heaven's timeline. I learned to do this when my mouth was full of complaint. When I traded complaint for declaration, the atmosphere shifted and opportunities reverberated differently. Prepare emotionally for the flip side of breakthrough jealousy tests from close ones or the resurfacing of old fears. When these attacks arrive, place them under the four-word lens: preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. Say it slowly and let it refocus you. This phrase will become your immediate defense line against panic. I carry it myself and use it as soon as my chest tightens. Finally, make a covenant with patience. There is power in slow fidelity. The world rewards speed, but heaven rewards faithful endurance. Choose to be the one who will persist without spectacle. My most cherished testimony was built not in dramatic turns, but in many small acts of faithfulness over a long season. That is the kind of legacy that reshapes families and rewrites destinies. My beloved anointed one, hold these directives close. Adopt humility as your primary filter set, guardrails, honor, gradual reconciliation. Use sacred silence, rehearse your identity, engage with invitation, create a prayer war room, be cautious with public exposure, steward resources, generously declare the unseen, interpret attacks with the fourfold truth, and covenant with patience. Each of these is a thread in the tapestry you are weaving with heaven. I am with you, watching the scroll unseal line by line. Do not mistake the complexity for absence. The complexity is the mechanism of refinement. When you stand firm in these practices, you will find that what once seemed like chaos becomes the architecture of your destiny. Receive this as both comfort and charge, chosen one. Keep faith, keep steady, keep your heart tender. Chosen one, rest your spirit in this final hand I place on your life. I have walked beside you through the unsealing, naming, praying, guarding, stewarding, and now I bring you the closing mantle, a steady, simple way to live in this Kairos, so the scroll that is opening will not slip through your fingers. First, breathe and anchor. When the ache returns, the pain that tugs at your confidence, say immediately, this pain is preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. Say it aloud until it settles your stomach and steadies your hands. When pressure tightens around your chest, name it. This pressure is preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. When delay stretches the hours thin, declare it. This delay is preparation, protection, pruning, alignment. I speak this from seasons when I felt every one of those things like a physical weight. Each time I named them truthfully, the heaviness shifted into purpose, and my knees found prayer again. Now, practical ordinances for daily living in the unsealing. Keep them small, sacred, repeatable. Number 1, morning naming. Each day in the first quiet, speak the person's name, then speak one covenant line over them and one promise line over yourself. Example: John, be healed in mind, open to your calling. I remain faithful, humble, expectant. Make it 60 seconds, make it sacred. I did this when I had tired hands and a tired hope, and God used those small sentences to prepare a conversation months later that changed everything. Number 2, threshold prayer. Before you enter any moment that could escalate a text, a call, a meeting, take a 30-second breath and say, "Heaven, align this threshold." That small pause turned arguments into listening 100 times in my life. It trains your spirit to refuse reactive noise and to invite the shepherd's voice first. Number 3, a sealing act. Choose a simple physical symbol, a small stone, a card, a ring, and place it somewhere private. When you are tempted to uproot the seed with impatience, hold the symbol and speak, sealed in the courts above. I did this with a tattered piece of paper. It became a touchstone that preserved me from foolishness and quick exits. Keep a sacred ledger. Write 3 columns, evidence, small signs, gratitude. Evidence records facts that point to movement. Small signs capture the odd confirmations heaven gives. Gratitude keeps your posture humble. When doubt rises, read the ledger. I have kept one since my first major unsealing. Reading it has relit hope more times than I can count. Hold firm to companions who will not hype or hustle you. Invite 2 or 3 steady souls who pray specifically and who will ask, are you moving from fear or from faith? Their role is to hold you accountable to the scroll, not to your mood. I have been rescued from hasty decisions by friends who ask that question kindly and without fanfare. Protect your inner room. Speak life, not litany. When you catch yourself rehearsing the wounds, stop and pivot. Replace the story of hurt with the story of promise. Say, this covenant is being rewritten. Doors are opening. Language is prophetic. When I learned to guard my mouth in this way, the atmosphere around my relationships changed, sometimes subtly, other times suddenly. Practice holy patience with active faith. Patience is not passive waiting, it is staying in the necessary work prayer, small obediences, wise boundaries while trusting heaven's clock. If you find yourself tempted to quit because the waiting has been long, remind yourself that waiting is a sacred laboratory where roots form. I was once tempted to pull up a seed because the surface looked unchanged. When I held and watered instead, fruit came in a season I had abandoned as impossible. Be sovereign with your boundaries. Boundaries are not rejection. They are prophetic lines of care, so the relationship can be healthy enough to carry destiny. Say them with tenderness, I love you. I will not accept patterns that tear what is being formed. I learned to do this gently and to stand by it, and the boundary often produced a humble response rather than resistance. When breakthrough arrives, receive it with proportion. Celebrate simply and give thanks loudly. Distribute the first measures of grace time testimony gifts back into the hands that prayed you through. I have a practice the first fruit is shared with someone who interceded in the small hours. That habit kept my heart tethered to heaven instead of to applause. Now a prophetic decree I ask you to say with me, steady and bold. Chosen one, declare aloud, my scroll is unsealing. Kairos moves now. Doors open, minds soften, hearts align. I will not abandon what heaven began. Speak it as if the courts above already lean in. I have said this in lonely rooms and in crowded airports. Each time the atmosphere adjusted and the next practical step appeared. Finally, preserve testimony. When this season resolves into fruit, make a record, a letter to yourself, a voice note, a small box of mementos, so that when seasons of doubt return, you can open the proof that heaven was faithful. I keep such boxes on my shelf. On tired days, they remind me that divine timing is real and that I am never alone in the process. My child, my beloved, you are on holy ground. The strain you have carried has not been wasted. It has been the very shaping necessary to hold what is coming. Walk now with both courage and gentleness. When the enemy shouts louder, answer softer with truth. When the world offers easy exits, choose the small, brave yes. Heaven's clock is active. The scroll is cracking open. Your role is simple: stand faithful, speak life, and steward what is entrusted to you. I am with you, steady and sure. Receive this word as the final hand that steadies your feet. Go now into the day with expectation. The appointed hour is moving for you, anointed one. Chosen one, receive this as a benediction from heaven to your heart. I see the scroll unsealing over your life. Your sealed prophecy is opening, and the hidden codes are being read in this Kairos, the appointed hour on heaven's clock. If you feel pain, pressure, or delay, know immediately it is preparation, protection, pruning, alignment, not rejection. I bless you with courage, clear hearing, and holy endurance. Stay faithful, remain aligned with the anointing, and walk forward with gratitude for what is about to manifest. Go now with my blessing, my protection, and heaven's confirmation. If this word landed, declare it below.